Welcome back. I'm Angela Barbash, and in this video, we'll talk about how to zero in on a deal to invest in a local business, how to check it out, and stay on top of what's happening. So far, we've looked at how community investing can fit with your personal values, how it may fit with your overall financial plan, and how your style of investing may benefit the business that you're investing in. And you're still with me, which tells me that you're truly excited about being part of the solution in your community. So where do you find these opportunities to invest? The first place you want to look is your values. Look at the places in your community that uphold that list of values that you created in the very first video. Start with the positive screens that you created and make sure that you're not looking at anything that is in your negative screen list. Second, let's look at the places that you hang out most often. Maybe strike up even a conversation with the business owner and find out if they might be getting ready to look for capital. Next, you can look at online platforms. And for this, you can visit the Grubstake website for a list of platforms that you might want to check out. Platforms can target specific industries, and there you can look for local businesses that may be the right fit for you. Lastly, you could consider joining a club. You can contact your state's venture capital or angel association to find out about clubs that operate in your area. And if there isn't, you could consider starting an investment club where you can learn together as a community of peers. My friend Mike has a good story about how he found an investment opportunity that really aligned with his values.
I watched, Kathy do a couple local investments, and I found something that I thought, hey, this is a good opportunity. I should do the same thing. I've got all my money tied up in stocks. I should diversify if nothing else. And this is a good way of doing that, of taking, some of the money out of the stock market and investing it locally, helping a local company, helping local people. The company I found was Pingree in Detroit that is involved with veterans, and I'm a veteran myself. It's a good organization, and I liked what they were doing. Had really good plans, business plan.
I love Pingree. Jarrett, the founder, he's one of those people I was talking about who is so passionate and so hardworking.
It does feel good to invest locally, to help someone that you can actually talk to face, and see how the company grows over the years, with the help of your investment. You feel like you're part of the company and part of helping the community.
Once you've found a promising lead, you're going to want to do what's called due diligence. That is simply the process of uncovering the information that you need to make the decisions that you need to make about whether to invest or not. It starts with asking a lot of questions, and you can visit the Grubstake website for some examples of questions that you can use. Questions might involve the culture or strategy of the company and what they're going to use the funds that they're raising in this capital raise for. Next, you might do field visits. You can go out to the company, see how they're operating their business, maybe even talk to some of the employees if they're willing to let you do that. Next, you're going to look at the disclosures. Every company is required to provide what's called disclosures when they're raising capital from investors. That's information that is really critical for you to know before you make your investment decision. Lastly, you're going to look at the deal structure. Now, every deal can look different, but mostly you're dealing with debt or equity. Equity means you are going to become an owner of the company, and debt means you are lending your money to the company and they're paying you back. Every deal can look different, which means that if you don't like the terms of the deal, you can also ask the business owner for a different deal structure and negotiate those terms. Don't be afraid. This is your money after all. In the end, your whole intention with doing due diligence is to arrive at the most important decision. Do you invest or do you not invest? Is this right for you or not? One piece of the deal that you'll want to consider is what is the best way to measure success in this investment? And how often do you want to hear from the company on how they're doing? Now, most regulations are going to require the business to report to you at least annually. And often in those reports, you're going to hear about things like their sales, their profitability, and maybe other things going on with the company. But you can set up other types of metrics with them, or at least talk to them about maybe impact metrics. After all, that's why you're investing locally, is for the impact it can have on your local community. So you might ask them, how many employees are they employing from your own backyard? Or what are their environmental or social metrics or benchmarks that they are abiding by? These are just some ideas. There's lots of different ways that companies can measure their success. The important thing is to have a conversation with them. And ultimately, this will tell you how well the business is doing. And to be frank, it is going to mentally prepare you for the possibility of failure. Usually you can see failure coming a mile away. And these reports and metrics are going to clue you in to whether you need to prepare yourself for a possible loss of your investment. It's an inevitable fact of life that businesses sometimes go out of business. Investment failure can happen for many reasons. Some of the most common reasons can be that they have a cash flow shortfall, meaning they just run out of cash. Also, they could have management issues, not having the right people in the right seats. There's also the chance of misrepresentation, also known as fraud. And lastly, one of the most common reasons that people go out of business is because they just get sick or they pass away. These things can happen, and it's important for you to understand that they can happen to you. When you lose an investment, feelings of failure, regrets, misgivings, doubts, or even discouragement are very common. But in truth, failing is both inevitable and part of life. It's just essential to the process of us living our lives. Everything is a struggle. It takes time and effort and struggle to become good at anything. And investing locally is no different. With practice, you will get better. And after a failure, you get to start over with a clean slate. In these videos, you've seen the definition of community investing and how to take yourself from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset that's in alignment with your values. We talked about your tolerance for risk, both your emotional and financial tolerance for risk, and how to decide which bucket of money you're going to use for your community investments, your qualified bucket or your non-qualified bucket. After that, we went over the difference between a strategic and a passive investor and what kind of investor might you want to be given where you are with your time and energy in this moment in time. Next, we went over how to identify opportunities in your community and how to start the process of due diligence, which you'll get better at as time goes on. So what's next? Here are some things you're going to want to do for yourself in this journey. You're going to want to finalize your plan. You're going to want to identify your ideal deal, the perfect deal for you. You're going to want to check out your local resources, begin scouting for opportunities, talk to your team of advisors, actually make the investment, measure the impact, and then review that impact and those metrics regularly. Now, there are great resources for this on the resources page of the Grubstake website, so go check it out. Next, what do you want to do for your community? Well, you're going to want to motivate others. You're going to want to proselytize or share the good word. You want to integrate this information into your local educational institutions. And you could even create a meetup to bring people together who are interested in the topic of community investing. As always, please remember that all of the information in this video series is for educational purposes only. This is not to be construed as an offer to invest or a form of marketing. All investment carries risk, especially community investing. It's very important that before you take any action based on what you've learned in this series, that you consult your team of professionals, which is going to include your legal, financial, tax, and accounting professionals. With that being said, thank you so much for being with us in this series and happy investing.